What is separation of power, what is functional separation, personal separation, and why we have adopted the functional fusion of these powers.
Get your antennas up and prepare on those topics, make your notes prepared. You never know what UPSC may ask.
You should not have a narrow strategy, rather broad strategy with a mix of AWFG and MGP. We have focused a lot on founding fathers, but we have not focused on the founding mothers of the Indian Constitution. So all these dimensions have to be covered under the evolution part. We'll have different starting points. Some might be good at answer writing, maybe not in content. Some might have content but do not know how to put it on paper. So feel free to reach out to us, come to ForumIAS Center and let's have a discussion what is required, where we are at and how do we improve from there.
A lot of students from our FRC batch this time, most of them are clearing prelims, so they've also approached us.
So mains cycle is not about studying more, but more about studying right. So in the pursuit of this goal, ForumIAS has come up with GS Blueprint.
You've been given 3 hours to write 20 questions. Now, if you are thinking and writing in each of those questions, you will never be able to finish your paper on time.
But at the same time, we have to acknowledge one thing, that our preparation cannot be unpredictable. Hello everyone, welcome. I am Kanishk Tomar, with me is Nitin sir.
Hello everyone.
Now we are done with the prelim cycle and going for another grind in the main cycle. Now we know the unpredictable nature of UPSC, that is in prelims also and in mains also. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge one thing, that our preparation cannot be unpredictable. So mains cycle is not about studying more, but more about studying right. So in the pursuit of this goal, ForumIAS has come up with GS Blueprint. So it is a series in which we will be trying to narrow down, simplify and structure your GS syllabus, and we'll try to see what can be the different topics, subtopics and dimensions which are important from mains perspective. Sir.
Now, the reason we are starting with this initiative is that a lot of students have come to us. A lot of students from our FRC batch this time, most of them are clearing prelims, so they've also approached us. But there is a variety of students which come after prelims. One is a set of students which has not prepared anything for mains and has only focused on the prelims, but now they are clueless about what to do for mains. There's another set of students which have done some preparation for mains, but their preparation is so spread out and it's not consolidated. So they are not aware of how to utilize their notes to write good answers. And then there is another set of students who have unfortunately not been able to secure many marks and maybe not clearing the prelims this time. And they are focusing on the 2026 attempt. To those students and to those students who are writing mains, this program will be helping on how to navigate the GS mains syllabus given by UPSC. Now, what better to navigate the syllabus than to have the blueprint itself, right? So that is where we came up with the name.
The GS Blueprint.
The GS Blueprint.
So we'll be in the series covering all the breakdown of the syllabus, whatever the roadmap is required for each subject. Here in this video, we'll be starting with polity and we'll also be providing certain snippets about how our questions in our test series, specifically AWFG and MGP, have been closely related from PYQ, inspired by PYQ, and of course, again, asked by UPSC in the same attempt or the upcoming attempt. Now, we know that GS is quite important. Out of 1750, we have the opportunity to get marks out of 1000. And it is quite natural to get a rank. You have to aim for 450 plus. If you have a look at rank 18, Soumya Mishra.
Yes.
So she has scored 475 from ForumIAS. Yes. So it is important that you keep a tab. You should not have a narrow strategy, rather broad strategy with a mix of AWFG and MGP.
And see, sir, it's very difficult to get 475 in GS mains if you have not followed a very right approach. And that is where the AWFG program comes in, right? We stick to the spirit of the syllabus and we don't do all the, do only PYQ, read only this book. We incorporate everything into the program and make sure that the student is getting what UPSC will be asking.
Exactly. And that is why these programs are time tested. You would have naturally heard about these programs. Yes. These programs were specially run in our FRC also. And students like Abhishek Sharma, Zenia, Snehit rank 94, they have all benefit and they have got a good result. And of course, in prelims, this year also FRC is going to be it's reflecting a good hit rate also.
Yes.
So talking about GS blueprint, let's have a look at the first slide itself.
So we'll be making a set of videos, but today we'll be focusing on the polity part of GS2. We'll be covering the 9 topics, as I hope you can see. 9 topics we'll be covering, which are for polity, and governance will be taken up later. So without wasting much time, let's start with the first topic itself. The first topic is for Indian Constitution. And the UPSC asks questions on the Constitution, but it has already given on what are the dimensions where
Multiple
it is going
dimensions.
to ask. So 6 dimensions have been mentioned. We'll take all those dimensions one by one, and we'll try to cover or give as many examples as possible on what dimensions UPSC may be asking a question on. All right. So taking up the first dimension, which is the historical underpinning. Now see, in this dimension, UPSC has been reluctant to ask in GS polity paper because they'd rather ask it in the GS1 paper for modern history. But still, what we recommend is have your short notes prepared, especially on the important acts, which is the trio of 1909, 1919 and 1935. Right, so this is the trio of acts.
And also adding to that would be the transfer of power, which happened in 1858, wherein the crown rule started. And of course, the 1947 Act, India Independence Act. So these acts are important from the angle of historical underpinning. Do not delve more into it. I think that should suffice. And I'll give you enough fodder material to address the demand of the question.
For this dimension.
Talking about the next dimension, that is the evolution. Evolution again is how the constitution was made, how we were taking inspiration, what was the process of working and functioning of Constituent Assembly, what were the achievements, again dynamic portion, achievement and criticism of the Constituent Assembly. We have focused a lot on founding fathers, but we have not focused on the founding mothers of the Indian Constitution. So all these dimensions have to be covered under the evolution part.
So while you're doing the static part, like sir said, founding fathers, and the CGI recently mentioned about the founding mothers, they are missing from our narratives, right? So if this is something in news, get your antennas up and prepare on those topics, make your notes prepared. You never know what UPSC may ask, right? If it comes, then it's a jackpot for you.
And these type of terminologies, some prominent offices have mentioned, they can also be utilized here and there in different answers, if at all not, there is no separate question regarding that.
Yes. All right. So from evolution, we'll move on to the features of the Constitution. See, this part of this syllabus focuses on what are the broad features of the Constitution. Now here you have to take, let's say from the top, let's say we talk about the preamble, right? And in this, the UPSC is going to ask on the one is that how the preamble is a preface to the Constitution, whether it is a preface or not.
Rather in features, let's focus on the ideas. What are the features? It is the lengthiest written Constitution. It is about parliamentary form of government, the presidential form of government. Then what about where we have taken sources of Constitution, where we inspired from how 1935 Act inspired the features. Then how it is a living document. Then ideas like constitutionalism, or ideas like constitutional morality, all these comes into play under features.
All right. So this should be covering the features of the Constitution. Next part is the amendment part. Now in amendments, take it from the very top, start from the first amendment, which is important.
Shankari Prasad case. And then you go to the 7th amendment, which is reorganization of states. Then you go with the duo of 24th and 25th amendment. Yes.
And take up the 42nd along with the mini constitution along with 44th amendment. Right. And
beyond that, we have 73rd and 74th amendment added the new tier to the federal structure. We have 86th amendment, the Right to Education Act.
Very important.
Very important. Then 91st Amendment Act, the anti-defection law, we missed 52nd Amendment. Then beyond, in recent times, you can always cover 99 NJSC evergreen topic, 100th and 101st GST and land boundary always remain prominent, if not in polity, but at least in IR also, especially.
And 106th Amendment, we were expecting a question last year, did not ask. So this year we are, either this year or next year, we are definitely expecting a question on 106th Amendment. See, the reason we are giving you a list of all these topics is don't just listen to this. Have your notes prepared, short notes
ready.
prepared on these topic. What are the arguments for, against? What are the pros, cons, merit, demerits? What are the way forwards you can write? What are the introductions you can write? Have this prepared in a one-pager note. All right, we'll move on to the next.
Next is the significant
Yes.
provision. Now, this is an unlimited topic.
Yes.
Significant provision you cannot talk about in a small class, but giving a dimension about significance, significant provision would be the preamble. That what are the provisions of the preamble, how it is amenable or not amenable, what has been the background, is it a part, etc. That is from the static portion. Now, with nature of state, you can always expect a question, because recently they have also Balram Singh case judgment has been there, wherein they dismiss the petition to remove the ideas or the terminologies of secular and socialist. Then the objectives are there: justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. So these are very probable questions, and also these terminologies can be used as fodder material.
Yes. And go on from there, look into the various the parts of the constitution. Second would be looking for the reorganization of states or acquisition or creation of new states. So what are the federal features, what are the federal arguments for and against creation of new states, whether it is prudent or not, right? And then you can talk about the citizenship point.
In this particular point, sir, now we are today this year celebrating almost more than 10 years of Telangana, so
Yes.
it remains prominent.
Correct, very prominent. So
Next is the citizenship.
citizenship.
Is prominent. There have been current affairs regarding Assam Accord, Section 6A. There have been judgment. With that associated is CA, NRC, and of course, you cannot forget the census part, including the caste census, which has been the bone of contention between the ruling party and the opposition. The whole election of Lok Sabha last year was fought on in and around this topic. So it remains prominent.
Have 7 to 8 points in favor and against. What are the benefits and demerits of the caste census?
Also in citizen, we have new act, Immigration and Foreigners Act of 2025. So these are all current affairs. You should be ready with what are the provisions for removal, what are the provisions for termination, deprivation. All these statics should also be ready.
Correct. Moving on for the fundamental rights. See, this in itself is a major topic, because first you have to take it from the top, which is Article 14, right to equality. And in right to equality, you can talk about how the Constitution has been instrumental in providing for right to equality. How and that is the debate which is you have to answer.
To what extent we have realized it.
And for equality, then a debate comes about reservation, right? So there is a debate on reservation in private sector. Are you ready with that debate or not? Then there is a debate on the
local reservation,
the son of the soil theory, the domicile based reservation. Have your notes prepared on that topic as well.
Have notes prepared within this. The exceptions also, though static portion, but you should be aware about the exceptions to right to equality also.
Yes.
Talking about Article 19, again, always in prominence. And of course, the Kaushal Kishore judgment talked about the application of Article 19 and 21 again. They have focused on Article 21 already multiple times, that what has been the expanding horizons of Article 21, what other rights have been provided under Article 21. But there can also be question about expanding horizons of Article 19, freedom of speech and expression, hate speech, etc. These are all important topics. Right to information, we are celebrating 20 years this time. Surrogate advertisement. So these are all can be standalone topics.
Standalone questions, UPSC has very much emphasized on Article 21. Either they'll ask about the importance of Article 21, or they'll specifically focus on any particular judgment which has been passed. Right, Puttaswamy judgment was specifically asked
multiple times.
Yes,
in Prelims and Mains also.
Yes, so focus on each of those very prominent judgments. The list you already have. It's available everywhere. It's available on our website as well. Look at the list, have your notes prepared.
Also, the recent judgment regarding the right to digital access of the services, public services provided by the government. So all these you have to be prepared, and you keep utilizing whatever value addition you are getting from this discussion itself.
Now move on from Article 21, sir, and we'll cover some more articles about the religious rights and right to property, which is again in news this year. Right.
Article 25 and 26, essential religious practices. 26 specifically, a lot of controversial issues regarding Waqf Amendment Act. So these are all prominent issues. Beyond that is, let's say, Article 32 static portion, mandamus writ has been in news. So it remains prominent. A minority educational institute, AMU judgment, subcategorization of SCs. So all these
Don't
again.
be surprised even if a very static question on what are the various types of writ which can be issued by the Supreme Court comes into the paper, right?
Even the reasonable restrictions under Article 19 can be a
Yes.
probable
Yes.
question. So again, fundamental rights are the favorite child of UPSC, as we say it.
Yes.
Now talking about DPSP and fundamental fundamental duties, we know that these are not enforceable, but at the same time, these are the guiding lights for the judiciary and for us, that how to behave and what is the balance between rights and duties. Within DPSP, one prominent issue has been the UCC,
Or the secular civil code.
secular civil code, as our Prime Minister said in the independence speech, that
Yes.
rather than having a criminal civil code, we should have a secular civil code.
And broadly, on DPSP, a very broad question can also come, like why has it not been made enforceable, right? Or how far have we been able to
Realize
the goals of DPSP? So these are the various questions which can be asked.
So that was about significant provisions.
Yes.
Let's have a look at the next dimension, that is the basic structure. Now under basic structure, we know that always a probable question is, what is basic structure? What was the evolution of basic structure? What have been the dimensions, the positives and criticism? Has it been instrumental in managing or balancing our the balance between the dynamics between various organs of the state? So it remains a probable question all the time. We have been expecting a question on basic structure sooner or later.
Yes.
It will be there.
Yes. Have a critical analysis prepared, and in the way forward or in the evolution part, have the cases Golaknath and these cases prepared for yourself. Keshwan and Bharti standalone question can come on that also. Are you able to quote any eminent personality in the question in the debate of basic structure? Or not,
Recently,
right?
Vice President
Yes.
also criticized the idea of
Yes.
basic structure. So it remains in news all the time.
Yes, you can write it in the introduction itself
Mm.
that the Vice President of India has recently criticized basic structure. So that can also be written. We'll move on now.
The PYQs
Yeah.
related to topic 1. Now, in these slides, after each topic, we'll be highlighting that what were the questions asked in our test series, AWFG or even MGP, and how were they replicated, if not directly, the dimensions of it, the themes of it. Let's have a first look at the question, sir.
Yes.
So this particular question we asked in 2022 AWFG, and it was related to Article 21.
Yeah.
And we talked about expansive jurisprudence of Article 21, how we are expanding the jurisprudence by going through various interpretations, expanding the rights. Now, next year, not the same year, UPSC asked a similar question, and it mentions, rather than Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, and it mentioned the exact terminology, those synonyms, expanding horizons, right? So these can be always probable questions. You will be surprised to witness that these questions, the quality of questions comes quite close to UPSC.
Yes.
We tried to replicate the PYQs also in different themes, but also try that whatever fresh type of questions we are asking from current affairs, from our expectations, they are replicated in UPSC in one form or the
So
other.
sometimes student would come to us and say, sir, why are you asking something as basic as Article 21? Why are you asking such laddu questions in your AWFG program? Now we tell them that, see, if you look at the PYQs, the UPSC always focuses on the syllabus, right? And questions are based on that. We'll move on to the next topic, which is the functions and responsibilities of union and state.
Now, functions and responsibility, let's break it down. First is functions and responsibility of the union and state till here, right? And of course, this is more about the division of power. That what are the powers at the union level, what are the powers at the state level, what are the unitary features, what are the federal features, those static but always remain important. Within this is the extension of the idea of federation, that what is the nature of federation we are following, quasi-federation, cooperative federation, asymmetric federation, competitive federation, all these keywords you should be having a short note ready. Beyond that, you can also talk about the principles which guide the federalism. So this is majorly the static portion.
Yes. And look at this topic in confluence with the issues and challenges, because there is a high probability that a static question won't come, but a dynamic question based on the issues and challenges might come. Now, in issues and challenges, look for what are the federal issues going on, whether it is the 3-language formula or whether it is a water crisis at any point of time. Look at those issues. Emergency has not been an issue for a long time, but emergency is again something which you need to know. A static question might come.
Emergency, we are 50 years of
Yes.
emergency, and also there has been president rule, the state emergency in Manipur.
Correct.
Another is the governor, prominent issue, evergreen issue, and of course, a lot has happened in last 1 year. Judgment related to state bills, Article 200, 201. The Punjab University Chancellor issue that we are shifting from governor to a chief minister, then president returned that bill. All these are prominent issues. You should be prepared.
Whether the
Governor from the executive angle and also from the
Yes.
idea of
Whether
federation.
the office of governor itself is required or not.
Yes,
Right.
a critical
The
analysis.
utility of the role of governor.
Then centralizing tendency, are we moving from federal features to unitary features, tilting towards the center or not? One prominent would be the fiscal federalism, quite prominent, especially after the 101st Amendment Act.
Yes.
So within this, we have different dimensions like the GST Council. We have the idea of state borrowing,
Yes.
GST
Restrictive,
Council,
restrictive borrowing of states.
Niti Ayog,
Cess and
That is-
surcharges.
cess and surcharges, yes, without a doubt, sir. And the issue of tied funds in centrally sponsored schemes, central sector schemes. So where do we end up?
Yes.
So all this you have to stay prepared. And one important feature is the Finance Commission. What have been the recommendation of 15th Finance Commission? Has it been successful or there have been certain issues? What are the terms of references of 16th Finance Commission? What are we expecting out of it?
And sir, in this topic, a lot of problems come when you don't know what to write in the conclusion or the way forward part. So what we tell is have your committee commission recommendations already prepared, be it the Sarkariya Commission,
Yes.
Puchi Commission or the Venkat Chilaiya Commission. Have it prepared. What have they said about particular issues and how they can be resolved? Have it already prepared.
I'll also mention some other issues. As you said, the border
Yes.
issues between various states,
Correct.
the river water dispute issues. Now, one emerging issue we can put here also, one nation, one election can be one probable question they have already asked in different
Last
way,
year.
but it can be repeated. A lot has happened in one nation, one election also.
Now we'll move on to the next topic, which is the devolution of powers and finances up to the local levels and challenges. So this is the topic about the Panchayati Raj and the urban local bodies. Here, one is for Panchayati Raj, the 3Fs are popular, right? UPSC can ask a standalone question on any of those funds, functions, functionaries, or they can combine a pair and then ask a question. Then why is there a criticism of delegation without devolution?
Exactly.
Right, that debate can come.
The importance of decentralization. And a lot has happened in current affairs also. There have been a lot of initiative, Viksit Panchayat Karma Yogi initiative, and a lot of reports, RBI reports regarding the finances and revenues of municipalities is there. IIPA report regarding the status of devolution to panchayats. So all these fodder materials you have to put in your notes. And of course, again, mentioning that you don't have to do PhD, you have to at max write for 3 pages, prepare for shorter notes, which you can expand by having just the idea about it.
Basically have 7-8 points on all the arguments.
Exactly.
Right. Now, also in this, have your way forward prepared. Manishankar Iyer committee you can write, or you can quote any commission.
Yes.
Right. Now, the PYQs, as mentioned in 2023, we talked about democratic decentralization through the 73rd and 74th amendment. And then if you look at what UPSC asked the same year, that it talked about the urban local bodies, both functionally as well as financially. So 2 Fs were covered, and that
And
is
we
what
also covered it.
We also covered
The powers and finances.
Right.
So not just the themes, but also the dimension within those
Yes.
themes are replicated at times.
All right. Next topic is the separation of power. This has to be seen as not just about Montesquieu or the Article 50. Don't just stick to that. Go into the detail of why is there no strict separation of power in India? Why is there checks and balances? How is it helping the polity of India? Have that debate prepared. Then what is the difference between separation of power and division of power?
Without
Have
a doubt,
that
yes.
debate prepared. right?
Have the definition prepared.
yes.
What is separation of power? What is functional separation, personnel separation, and why we have adopted the functional fusion of these powers. And within this, you should also be preparing the merging of the three organs, checks and balances. Yes, try to draw
Mentioned-
diagrams.
This diagram should be there when a question on separation of power comes.
Yes, that how is legislature getting into the domain of judiciary, for example, overturning the CEC judgment, how they are going to be appointed election commissioner, or how judiciary is utilizing Article 142, the recent judgment regarding the passing of bills by the state bills when they were stopped by the governor.
One question also which comes to my mind is that there can be a comparison between Indian model of separation of power with any Western power,
Western
right?
country,
So
yes.
that can also come. The next one is about the dispute redressal mechanisms and institutions. So this one will cover all the alternate dispute redressal mechanisms which are available, be it the
Negotiation,
yes,
mediation, arbitration, conciliation, NMAC. So be prepared with this, that what is the difference between the two. Mediation has been in use. They have asked arbitration multiple times and conciliation also. Mediation, we have come up with a model law in recent years. So it becomes quite important.
it is a ongoing debate on why arbitration is not very much successful in India.
Then we also have the tribunalization of justice, that what is the role of tribunals, what is the role of executive in delivering justice. Beyond that, they've also asked regarding lok adalats. It is not just peripherally they will be touching about this topic can also be part of judiciary. So they have asked about lok adalats, free legal aid, etc. as well.
Specific question on tribunal has come on administrative tribunal they've asked.
So lok adalat remains a prominent
Yes.
debate.
All right.
Let's have a look at the dimensions which have reflected in PYQs. 2021 AWFG, we asked about ADR and specifically talked about Lok Adalats. Now, UPSC, can we have the next question, sir? UPSC, though not in the same year, but couple of years later, it realized that ForumIAS has been asking good questions. So, Lok Adalat combined with the arbitration tribunal. So again, overlap of themes, maybe different dimensions. It remains that these slides we have put across to convey the message that the how questions are very precise and at the level of UPSC.
Yes.
Let's have a look at topic 4, sir.
All right. This one is about the comparison of Indian constitution with other countries. See, this is a very broad topic. So what we recommend is pick and choose on what you're reading. You don't have to go into the details of everything because it's infinite almost.
Yes.
So pick a few countries where you can do. UPSC's favorite is the US, UK, France, along with a few other countries. So the dimensions which you need to cover here is that, for example, if you take US, right, what are the dimensions where comparison can come? So judiciary can be compared, the role of the Senate versus Rajya Sabha can come, the role of the Vice President, Indian and US can come, role of President can come.
Powers of the president,
yes.
election process of the
Yes.
president, fundamental rights, preamble. So there is a lot that we have taken inspiration from US. So there can be comparisons on different angles. Talking about France, they've asked multiple times already. We know that whenever we think of France, we know that it is the idea of secularism, the core, the negative idea of
Negative
secularism, and it
concept
has gone to another extreme,
Yes.
where there is no burqa allowed, no religious symbols allowed. So secularism is one, and of course the political system there, the semi-presidential system, what is followed, that can also be covered.
Yes.
Talking about UK, sir.
In UK, see Westminster format of government versus our form of government. That is the comparison. Then you can have where their laws are very fluid in nature. Ours comes from the constitution. That can be a question.
One
Where
important is the republic and the monarchy,
monarchy, yes.
comparison.
There the king is always right.
Yes.
Here the constitution and the people who give the power to the
The
constitution is
collective
always
responsibility angle. So whatever we have taken inspiration, that can be one point of contention, one point of comparison. And do have a look at the question, probably that they might not be just asking about comparison. Whenever they ask about comparison, do have your answer starting with similarities also. There is not everything is different, but we have tweaked and applied to our own needs. Beyond these countries, you can also prepare for the sources. from where we have taken inspiration from. We have gone for ransacking of the constitution. You can also prepare for, let's say, BRICS countries or let's say Quad countries. If you are done with this, this is more than enough. It is a very high probability of this question, this particular topic, because they have been consistently dwelling upon
one
it.
question does come every year.
Talking about the PYQ, sir.
Yeah. So we asked this question, the Indian concept of secularism different from the Western counterparts, because we feel that it's a very important concept. And if you look at UPSC, they next year asked the same thing on what France can learn from the India's constitution. And then if you look at it, they again repeated the question on not the same country, but again a comparison of secular idea. So if your notes are prepared on one concept, you can use those points in other countries as well.
There is not huge difference, though another extreme in France. So your fodder material would be same. You will be tweaking it according to the demand of the question.
Yes.
Next topic is topic 5. The parliament and the state legislature. Specifically the state legislature. I would like to divide this into 2 portions. One is the static area and another is the dynamic area. Sir, would you like to start with the static area?
Now, in static area, specifically, you have to focus on what are the positions important in the parliament, be it the starting from the president itself, what is the legislative role of the president. Then you have VP, which has a very important role to play in the parliament. He is the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Then you have speaker of the Lok Sabha, vice speaker of the Lok Sabha. These are important ones.
The role of parliament itself comes into question, that what role does the legislature play? And let's say, what is the lawmaking process? What are the tools for executive accountability? All this is static. Of course, can be or must be utilized in your dynamic portion. Beyond that is parliamentary committee, parliamentary privileges, disqualifications, Article 105, 102, all this have to be prepared. Contempt of parliament, contempt of legislature, all this has to be prepared from static angle. There is a probability that there might not be a static question, but this knowledge would be replicated when you will be answering a dynamic question.
Yes. So comparison between Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha can
Without a
come.
doubt.
Money bill versus a normal bill can come anytime. What is a no confidence motion? What are the various instruments which the parliament uses to have a check on the executive, be it the motions, the no confidence cut motions, be it the various committees through which it has a control. Now, committees is another very important concept, important topic on which we are seeing a question almost every year, right? Have a very broad concept prepared on what is the role of committees, what is their utility, and go deeper into each and every committee. Have your notes prepared on
specifically the finance committee, public accounts committee, estimates committee, and the COPU. With that, the department related standing committees, what is the broader role, what are the, let's say, the foundation, the composition, and what role does it play, how many are there, some historical background you should be aware about. Plus committees which are in current affairs, like ethics committee, privilege committee. So all this should be prepared. Talking about the dynamic portion, one is the decline of parliament. So this has been a prominent question for ages. It includes broadly the performance of the legislature, that what is required, is it able to function properly? What role we studied in our static portion, is it performing that role efficiently? Is it overtaken by the executive domination in the legislature, as pointed out by J.B. Kripalani? Beyond that, there can be, of course, presiding officer static portion, but also presiding officer current events. We had no confidence motion, the term they used for against the Rajya Sabha chairman. They also had issues related to speaker of the Lok Sabha, deputy speaker we don't have. Then the role of opposition, they haven't asked lately. That can be role of opposition or leader or opposition. That can be probable question. Money bill, as sir also pointed out. So talking about the PYQ, sir.
So in this, we picked up an example where we talked about the speaker, and this was a question where UPSC asked a question in 2021. We always get a question on whether we are including the PYQs or not. Now, this is where this example comes in, that PYQs is always our inspiration to form new questions, right? So if you look at it, UPSC 2020 asked about the speaker, and in 2021 itself, we included the role of speaker in Lok Sabha. Now,
Again, it
yes,
was taken up by UPSC couple of years later because it is a prominent office. And they specifically asked about the role of presiding officer at the state level.
Yes.
If not the speaker directly, presiding officer have been there at
Yes.
any level.
yes,
Talking about next topic, that is topic number 6, and it starts with executive. We know that there are various dimensions within the executive. We have various offices: president, vice president, prime minister, council of ministers, AGI. So all these dimensions are there, offices are there. What you should be aware of is the role of these offices. One, you should be aware about their constitutional status of these offices. Second, you should be aware about, let's say, powers and responsibility of these offices, what have been endowed to them. You should be prepared about the dynamic areas, issues and challenges. You should be prepared about the reforms. So not just about these topics, but this is a broader breakdown of various topics, not just in polity. This can be related to economic angle, also societal angle, if not the constitutional status, but role, powers, etc. can be. These are evergreen topics.
Now, like sir said, these are the various executives that a notes need to be prepared on. If you look at it, the president, or even if you take governor, for example, these are very important positions on which standalone question can come on what is the role of the president and what is the role of the governor. There is a debate on whether it's a rubber stamp or not. What is the utility of the office itself? Then we should we do away with it or not?
The pardoning powers, clemency powers, mercy petition has been in
impeachment
use.
Process is there,
Yes.
right? So these are the various things.
Ordinance making power also.
prepare.
A
Yes.
good comparison between the heads of the union and the state executive is important.
All right. Coming to the judiciary part, here, see, in judiciary, it's a very deep topic where you have to start from the appointment process itself. There's a lot of debate going on about the lack of transparency and accountability in the appointment process. There's uncle judges syndrome. There's talk of
Black coat
syndrome, nepotism overall. Collegium system has always been criticized, the 99th Amendment and Jack. So these are the various topics you need to go into for the appointment process itself.
Now they are also talking about the removal.
Yes.
Now there have been questions of judicial accountability and how they should be removed. Should there be a FIR filed? What was Veerasamy judgment, etc. These are all important topics. But we can also talk about the role of judiciary. One, we can also talk about the independence of judiciary. Second, these are static, but at the same time can always be clubbed with the current affairs. Yes.
Yes.
I think
Yes, also prepare on something which has been in news about the original jurisdiction, the advisory jurisdiction.
Yes,
Article
jurisdiction.
142 has been in news. We might be missing a few points, but you get the idea that you need to get your hands on everything which can be appearing in your
Article
question
142
paper.
has been
Yes.
in news. Article 143, President has recently
Correct.
sent certain
Yes.
questions to the Supreme Court. PIL has been in news. Judicial activism, judicial overreach, judicial restraint, judicial review. So these are the all dimensions which you need to cover in judiciary.
Yes. All right. Ministries and department, again, a very small topic. Not a lot of questions come every year, but some topics we want you to focus on. That is the role of the Prime Minister's office, the PMO, the role of the central, the cabinet secretary, the role of the MEA overall in the foreign policy making. These are the topics you can focus on. Coming to pressure groups.
Within this, there can be broader question regarding ministries that are they working in silos? Is there a coordination required? What can be done, etc. from the dynamic portion. One thing we forgot to mention, sir, about the Council of Ministers, about the committees, the cabinet committees, the role of cabinet, the kitchen cabinet, all these have to be also covered, right?
Yes.
Talking about the pressure groups, now it has talked about pressure groups, informal, formal association. So you should be ready with what is a pressure group, the definition, the examples of it, how is it different from political parties, what is the difference between formal and informal associations, what is a think tank, what are the regulatory provisions, what are the roles they are playing, how they can be, let's say, have a symbiosis with the functioning of the state, how they should be, let's say, issues and challenges and reforms again. So these are the broader dimensions from topic 6. Let's have a look at the PYQs. Now in 2021 in AWFG, we talked about the theme of independence of judiciary and we linked it with the basic structure. And a couple of years later in 2023, judicial independence was again seen in as a theme, of course, linked with the constitutional guarantees.
Yes.
Again, when we are talking about independence, there will, as we mentioned, independence, what are the constitutional provisions which provide for independence, etc. These all, though you will be remembering, but if at all you want a condensed answer, a quality answer, that should be on your notes. You should be having something to fall back on.
Yes, yes. All right. Again, a very simple topic. Looks like a simple topic, but it's a very deep topic. The salient features of the RPA. This topic has to be done nicely because either a very static question on the comparison between RPA 1950 or 1951 can come. The model code of conduct, how it has been instrumental, what are the various salient features or provisions in the RPA which lead
comparison
to
between 50 and
free
51.
and fair elections, right?
And of course, there can be always electoral malpractices, or let's say corrupt practices. All these are dimensions which are prominent under RPA. Within RPA, you should be also aware about the role played by judiciary for expanding the role of RPA itself. What are the recent judgment, Lily Thomas, etc. You should be all aware about.
Yes.
Now, one extension of it is, that is, I think, more deep, the elections and the electoral reforms. You should be aware about the major theme, that is the free and fair election. That are we functioning as a substantive democracy? Are we actually conducting free and fair election? There have been a lot of issues associated with are the elections free or fair? Then you should be aware about the role of ECI. We know beyond the constitutional position of ECI, how has ECI been functioning? What has been the achievements of ECI? What have been the background? What have been the evolution of ECI? All this have to be prepared. One more prominent topic that is in news is the right to vote. UPSC has asked that in prelims. But again, one more matter is in sub judice, that is the right to vote of the under trials.
Now, sir, what we've missed is each and every reform which has been taken in the name of electoral reforms has to be covered separately, be it VVPAT, be it simultaneous elections, be it electoral bonds, or be it nota. All these factors, all these dimensions need to be covered separately. Have your arguments prepared individually on those.
Beyond that, a lot is in current affairs, especially related to the issues of electoral rule. So what has been the issues associated with the electoral rules? Why do we have different electoral rules for different elections, state elections, panchayat elections, and of course the Lok Sabha elections? And what is the common electoral role? What have been all these issues? You have to, especially now there again, they are picking up role. Opposition is picking up the issue in that the election in Maharashtra was compromised because of the electoral role. So sudden rise, all these are allegations. Let's see what comes out of it.
Always in news.
Beyond that is the intra-party democracy, one nation, one election again remains prominent here. One more thing I would like to highlight here is the funding part.
Yes.
Funding, the state funding, the committees associated with that funding, electoral bond as are also mentioned. So all these are,
various committees are there. Have them prepared for your way forward also.
You should be able to substantiate your points, even your answer itself.
All right. Now in PYQ, we had talked about the simultaneous elections.
Last year itself.
Yes. And we were expecting a question on simultaneous election because it was very much in news due to the recommendations which came from the Ramnath Kovind committee. And like we guessed, a question on simultaneous election.
The same year, last year. So they just talked about one nation, one election, and they linked it to electoral reforms again. But they also mentioned about various committees.
Yes.
Yes, so you should be prepared. And again, that is a testimony of how close there can be questions. If you are preparing, then a lot of your work has been done. Do not get into the trap of this dimension, that dimension, and getting into the perfect note making. So you will never be able to go for perfect note making, rather go for covering multiple dimensions and tweak your notes according to the demand of the question.
Basically, what happens is that you've been given 3 hours to write 20 questions. Now, if you are thinking and writing in each of those questions, you will never be able to finish your paper on time, right? So it is very important that at least in 10, 12 questions, your solution should already be prepared from your notes, right? Those are the questions you hit and you save time for those questions where you have to brainstorm and write. All right. We'll move on to the 8th and 9th topic we've taken together because the type of preparation is similar for all these things, which are the constitutional posts, the statutory, regulatory, and the quasi-judicial bodies. What you need to do here is we've given a framework on what to do. Sir, can you take up what are the things that we need to take care of?
So for all the bodies, either statutory, regulatory, constitutional posts or constitutional bodies, you can have these dimensions prepared. Let's have a look at the example. Let's say we are talking about ECI. So ECI, what has been the historical background of ECI? You should be aware when it was established, and we are celebrating 75 years of its formation. Establishment. So you should be prepared. Then how it was, its composition changed over the years, what a role, what was, how it gained prominent in early 1990s, TN session era, etc. You should be prepared. Then what are the constitutional provisions associated with
Articles
ECI?
and all.
Article 324,
any act
etc.
through which the
Recent
body has
Act,
been
Appointment
brought, yes.
Act. All these are important.
These come in handy. These two come in handy for your introduction part.
Exactly.
Right.
Even if they are not asking them directly, they will always be utilized. Then what have been the roles and responsibilities, superintendent's direction and control, preparation of electoral roll, all these are mentioned in the constitution. Then why are they quasi-judicial bodies? All this you should be prepared. What has been the significance, the goods and bads of it? What are the issues associated with ECI? The expenditure is not charged, it is not powered to deregister. All these you have to prepare.
Why I'm emphasizing on this is where the question will come from.
Exactly.
Right. And UPSC will always ask a very dynamic question on what has been in news, what is the significance of this body, how far has it been successful in fulfilling its mandate.
Exactly.
Right. So this is a major point. You have to have at least 7-8 points prepared for and against your arguments here. Along with that, like the last one says, it's the reform and measures. Have that prepared for your way forward as well.
And
you already have the list for all the constitutional and statutory bodies. It will take some effort, but make a note on each and every one of those bodies.
And these are not your recommendations or your measures. They have to be substantiated by the
Yes.
committee recommendation.
See, if you have nothing in mind, then you write your recommendations.
Exactly.
Right? It's always better to quote someone in this one.
Also, there are certain bodies which are in news. Of course, as I said, Election Commission 75 years, Niti Aayog, we are celebrating 10 years. Then Lokpal and Lokayog celebrated first foundation day this year in January. Then CBI has always been in news. ED has always been in news due to various contentious issues. CCI is also there
CCI
because
is there,
we are
yes.
coming up with Digital Competition Act. Then SEBI is there, again Hindenburg issue. So
basically everybody you have to cover
Yes.
thoroughly, and that is where your hard work will come into play.
yes.
All right, we'll
It
move on
will,
to the
it will give you a lot of fodder material, and it is going to, that hard work is going to be reflected in your answers.
Yes. We'll move on to the PYQ part here. In 2022, we talked about the CAG. We pick constitutional bodies based on our assumption on what can appear in that year. And if you look at it, so that year we could not guess, but next year they ended up asking about the CAG.
So I think there is one more question to that, sir.
Yes.
We actually, this was again asked because we were expecting, this was AWFG. From 2022 and 2023, we were adamant on sticking to CAG that there is a probable question.
Yes.
And ultimately, next year it was reflected in UPSC. So again, if not exact the same year, but at the same time, it remains, this is a reflection of how close, again, I might be repetitive, but again, emphasizing that how close we have been to asking questions relevant to the UPSC and what have been the core themes. So we would recommend that you utilize these breakdown of topics, this GS blueprint effectively. At the same time, prepare, as we said, as sir also suggested, prepare short notes on each topics and cover a lot of dimension. Each question would be asking about one dimension or the other, but you should have comprehensive coverage of that particular topic.
So like we said in the beginning itself, so many queries are coming on what to study and how to study. That is where we thought of making this video. This initiative was taken up because we wanted to address all those. So we thought of making this video and addressing, the very important query all at once.
Beyond that, we would just recommend that focus on whatever improvement we have to do, some might be, we'll have different starting points. Some might be good at answer writing, maybe not in content. Some might have content but do not know how to put it on paper. So feel free to reach out to us, come to ForumIAS Center, and let's have a discussion what is required, where we are at, and how do we improve from there, so that at least we have positive results from there.
All right. I think that should cover it. We can close the video now. Thank you so much for watching. All the best for your exams.
See you.